name associated with Epstein.
I don't care.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about
Sorry.
anyone around this table, because I don't imagine that there's anybody here that actually knew Jeffrey Epstein.
Sorry to pounce.
The point that I'm making
My
is,
time, guys. See you guys.
the point that I'm making is, if you've had any kind of dealing with Epstein and a list comes out and your name's on it, the people, like to your point earlier, the people that believe that he has done that, they have done something wrong, they're going to believe that you also did something wrong, right? If you're of the opinion that Jeffrey Epstein and anyone Jeffrey Epstein knew was party to illicit behavior, well, then that's a strong incentive to not want any kind of list to come out.
Yeah, I think Tim's made it like a variation of this point of like, with both parties, with both candidates, their war chests, there's probably lots of funding that's coming from people that, even if they didn't do anything illegal, they would be on that list, be embarrassing, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, look, if you're trying to be pragmatic, if you are trying to operate
you can just stream them.
system,
Just gonna
you don't have to
watch.
deal with this on the side, because like the thing about Epstein is it's a very online thing, and my evidence for this is that Fox News rarely covers it, and Fox News is where the majority of the base is sort of getting their information from. And this is why there was that disconnect earlier in the year when Bondi and Trump came out and they're like, why do people even care about this? Because in their world, people don't really care about it. It's like, it is an online thing. I'm not downplaying the importance. Like, obviously this is a very scandalous thing, but yeah, that's just the reality, is that Trump and Bondi, they just saw people like spurging nonstop about it, and they were just like, oh, what's the deal?
So Tim is on with Jesse Waters, and we're going to cut to that.
What's going to happen next? It's hard to say. Biden could have released it. Trump could have released it. Trump said it was a hoax. But I'm glad he back on message. We should see these released. And considering the emails that got leaked in the past couple of weeks that turned out to be a nothing burger, well, actually, it turned out to backfire. Now learning that it was Virginia Giuffre who was listed in these emails, who had already said Trump had done nothing wrong. We're learning that a journalist was colluding with Epstein for positive PR. It sounds like, let's be honest, I don't think we're going to get a lot out of these. I think if there were documents, they're probably long gone. I think there are powerful interests that are probably concerned they'll be made to look bad. But I do think it's a big distraction, and Democrats are getting caught up in something. Some have suggested Trump is doing this on purpose. Rope-a-dope, tell him to come in. Oh no, the Epstein thing's a hoax. They tackle this issue, and then Trump focuses on tariffs. He focuses on immigration. The American people at the kitchen table aren't talking about Epstein. They're talking about grocery prices, and as you already pointed out, they're down. I mean, they're still high, but they're coming down, and I think that's what's going to win a midterm election.
He's now real focused on it, especially after the last elections in these blue states. Kind of a wake-up call, and that's a good thing. The Democrats on the other side, I don't know what they're talking about. Gavin Newsom's in other countries talking about the weather. Kamala's talking to transgender people. I mean, what is going on over there?
It's sad for me, because in 2020, I actually was a very big supporter of the Democratic Party. I donated the maximum to Tulsi Gabbard. He's now a Republican alongside Trump. I hear Trump talking about tariffs. I understand this. I am a business owner. I own a skateboard company. We make all of our products in America, and I know what it means for an industry to outsource those jobs. And I agree with these tariffs, because it's been a godsend for the manufacturing in this country, real Americans to get benefit our culture. The Democrats, what are they talking about? They've got Mamdani talking about free buses and faster buses. He has no authority to do that. Chuck Schumer is in with the Democrats, but the socialists are likely going to take over that party. I don't recognize them anymore. And it's strange to me that after all my years, I'm going to be 40 in a few months, the Republicans are the party of the working class and of the manufacturing jobs. I wish we had real political competition in this country, but we just don't.
All right, so it looks like the Republican Party may be competing against it. It looks like Trump's on his last legs. And Gavin Newsom, of all people, is like the one semi-normal Democrat that's like keeping everything at bay. I mean, is this what we're facing?
I'm pretty confident going into these midterms now. The past couple of weeks are a little worrying with the infighting on the right with some of these foreign policy issues, but today it seems like Trump is back on message. The infighting is sort of dying down, and when it comes to what the Republicans have to offer, we have wasted a little time on the old Epstein debacle, but maybe that's just political strategy. I gotta be honest, I look at the Democrats And with the future of the party being AOC and Mamdani, they don't have anything tangible to offer. In fact, I'm seeing reporting now that Staten Island wants to secede from New York City because Mamdani does not have the confidence of even his own city. So I can look at Trump and I can understand tariffs. I can understand these tax policies, these dividends. They make sense. I don't see anything on the Democrat side, unfortunately.
You know, the only thing that AOC and Mamdani have going for them, they've never been on Epstein's plane.
Yeah.
Everything else, they got a lot of problems. Tim, great to see you. Hopefully the skateboard company keeps rocking.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Breaking news on wannabe Trump assassin Thomas Crooks.
Really?
Extremely interested
It isn't
in
already,
talking about
bro?
stuff, but at the end of the day,
How the fuck are we
midterms, they're
losing
gonna be
already?
decided by the cost of voters. They're going to be decided by
That's
whether
fucked
you
up.
feel like the economy is doing well. Do you guys feel like the Republicans have any hope of fixing that? Oh, never mind. Here's Tim.
No, I don't trust anybody. I still think it's a big problem, and I still talk to people in the world. That I know that the deep state is an issue after watching Trump seeing all this deep state work against some lawfare, and a lot of people voting for Agenda 47, which I don't know is the deep state. I think people, of course, want an economy that can afford to feed their kids, but they also want to find a way to stop weaponizing
Like, for example, earlier in the year when the Trump Bondi, debacle happened, they didn't actually take a big hit in the polls in the approval rating. And that's just evidence. It's like, look, the vast majority of Americans don't really understand what happens at a certain level. Maybe they scroll their feed, like Twitter. I think the average, or the 10% of Twitter, sorry, 90% of Twitter, the amount of Americans that like their approval of Trump is dependent on how he handles the Epstein thing's like a very
They're vocal. Very loud. They really think it's important. I still believe that politics is really a kitchen table issue.
especially like compared to the amount of Americans who have been to a Costco and they see the meal are on there. That's the kind of stuff that you can win elections on. Everyone gets to go to a Costco. That's something.
Have you guys gotten into the Kirk stuff yet? I'm just coming back from Jesse Waters' show. So you don't know.
Forces have secured an advantage. Attention, Delta is under hostile attack.
Done, by the way.
It's fun. It's always
Lots of
fun.
glaze, but it was very well done.
Oh, right on. I appreciate it. A van pulls up. I jump in a van, and I was
It
joking.
takes you down by the river.
Yeah, was there
and it
candy?
just drives down by the river. They give me a bottle of water, and then I get to watch Jesse's show, and then he asks me.
But there's a handful of big stories, and I was looking to see what you guys talking about. We'll grab this one.
Nice.
Thomas Matthew Crooks went by they them on DeviantArt. LinkedIn's reveal furry fetish. Crooks was not simply some unknowable lone actor, but the digital trail of violent threats, extremist ideology, and admiration for mass violence. So this is apparently from Tucker Carlson's report that he said, you know, we were told by the FBI, this was from his report, that he didn't have much of an online footprint. The FBI pushed back when Tucker Carlson said, why were they withholding this from us? And they said, you know, he never said he didn't have a footprint, but why didn't we know this? When this happened, the narrative we were led to believe was that this guy may have been just mentally ill or even potentially right-leaning. Now we're getting information that this guy had a flip. He came left, trying to kill Donald Trump, and it's fitting into this pattern we've seen of these gender ideologue and furry-aligned shooters, strangely, just like this is the narrative we're hearing around the Trump assassination as well, and there's been a handful of shootings that have been perpetrated by transgender individuals. It seems strange that this information is withheld from us. I'm wondering if this was a Biden cover-up.
Nice.
I'm not sure that I have a... Well, maybe, I mean, it completely could be a Biden cover-up. I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into that. I do think that it's worth noting that the people that will say, oh, this is something that's unique to the trans community or whatever, I think that this is actually an indication that there's so many people in the trans community that are actually mentally ill. I don't think that the trans is what causing it. The mental illness is causing the transness. And then you've got people that are willing to commit violent acts based on their mental illness.
I somewhat disagree, because I've been talking about this earlier. And if it was just that, you'd see this in a variety of different ideologies, but for some reason we have this pattern of, what is it, like 6 or 7 shootings in the past year or two that have been involved in specifically gender ideology sectors. Certainly if someone was just mentally ill or disordered, they could find themselves in a whole plethora of various weird online fetishes and ideologies. These people we end up seeing are particularly in one ideology. So I wonder if that means it is the online trans community that is particularly in favor of violence. And perhaps the Democrats are so strong.
That's what I think. The messaging around the trans community or about trans people is that Christians want to kill you. They don't believe that you should exist. The narrative that gets spun to these people is your life is in danger. The way the right to treat you is violence against you. You need to defend yourself. There's all kinds of leftists that say things like defend trans kids. There's that shirt, defend trans kids, with a knife and a rose on it or whatever. I think that the reason part of the reason that they're violent is because they're told that they are under attack.
Well, and beyond that, like, the thing with the trans ideology is destruction is built into it, because that is how you participate in the ideology, is you destroy your own body, you cut yourself up, etc., etc. So naturally that's going to manifest in violence, because the violence is part of the ideology. Like, what happens when you become really right-wing? You start, like, lifting and, like, reading philosophy. Like, it's just, these sorts of things are just downstream from the effect. So it's like, yeah, when an entire ideology is built around, like, destroying your own body, naturally that's going to ripple out and you start destroying. It's a ideology of destruction, fundamentally. That's absolutely what it is. And so it's like, yeah, no wonder this occurs. Like, it's built in.
So I got a list here of some DSM-5 mental disorders, of which the obvious one is gender dysphoria, which links to gender ideology. There's some degree of overlap with the furry stuff, which is just online fetish stuff. I actually think gender dysphoria is not the mental disorder being suffered by many of these individuals that are committing these shootings or murders. I think there's some other kind of dissociative disorder where they adopt an online identity to themselves. So you have these communities that are particularly violent and leftist, and they also happen to have gender ideology within them. I think what we're likely seeing is somebody who is suffering some kind of mental illness finds, let's say, 5 or 6 other communities. One of them dominates and imprints those views on them, and that's why there are these orders. Because there are a lot of people with gender dysphoria that probably aren't even necessarily trans. They may have gender dysphoria, but they don't do anything. They just keep it private and say nothing. Some, trans and literally don't do anything. When I see these patterns, I'm like, there's some kind of mental illness where you're easily manipulated by online psychotic content or whatever that creates this sect of people who end up going nuts. Because the reason I say this is that this Matthew Crooks guy, this Thomas Matthew Crooks guy, had like a flip. Like his politics went one way and then it kind of switched to the other. Seeming like the issue, I would say then, is the ability to be influenced by aggressive online ideologies.
Yeah, well, I think, like, I don't think it's a mental illness. I think it's just young people in modern society are just naturally disassociated by default because they're completely harassing. They're stripped of all identity when they're born. Like, your identities are assigned at birth. Like, you're going to be a husband, you're going to be a father, you're going to be a son, a brother, a Christian, an American. All those things are disassociated because modern society, the only ideology or the only identity that is imparted on you is to be a consumer. So, like, I don't think it's mental illness. I think we're just naturally disassociated.
I agree. In fact, I can't remember when. I think it was a few months ago we talked about this. Actually, it was on the Culture War. I had asked mental health experts, what would it be called if a person, not through dysfunction of the mind or body, but through conditioning, came to believe things that were not true? And they said that would be delusional disorder. That would be a mental illness or a mental disorder. And the interesting thing is, your brain works perfectly fine. You get lied to, and they say you're delusional. The reason that's scary, well, one, I agree that's probably what we're seeing with these individuals.
Looking
People
for spare
of
rounds.
otherwise sound mind, who, if they were in a normal town with, lovely married couples walking with their children, and the milkman, driving his truck down the street, and the butcher selling bacon, he would identify with those things. And that would be their personality. But I wonder if the real issue is you take any person, isolate them, plug them into these online communities, and that's what they become. The scary thing is, what then happens to all of human society as we keep going in this direction of social media?
Because young people are all impressionable. That's every young person. It's just a matter of who's delivering the impressions. Your community, your surroundings, like how people typically matriculated, or it's gonna be online. And then it's a dice roll. You become a right-wing influencer, or you become this.
I also think this community in particular, as isolated as they are, and
What are you going on about?
they're susceptible to this,
What happened?
radicalized into being violent. And it reminds me of the 764 cult. And recently announced the arrest for the 764 cult, and a lot of those they do is different types of people as a computer find ways to radicalize these people and make them do real things. And they have done it, either to themselves, to animals, or killed them. So I'm very curious who's on the other side of this.
Well, young people are naturally going to take on a mission in life that's going to be radical. That's just like the stereotype of young people. They all want to change the world. And so it's like a matter of channeling them into a productive, force that's going to be revolutionary, or and oftentimes they get channeled. That's just like a very natural. Two things that are very natural to young people. Is A, they're impressionable, and B, they have a lot of naturally they just take on radical ideologies. It's been the case throughout history.
Yeah, the Crooks thing is still weird. I'm still shocked that Trump said he was satisfied with what he got about it, because there were so many weird inconsistencies. For instance, he was training at the same Homeland Security. That was weird. The way they promoted it very quickly was very weird. The people on top of the roof cleaning it very quickly was weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump now is pro-Epstein release, and the new line from Democrats is, the FBI must have scrubbed all the intimidating evidence already. And my reaction is, why would they have done it literally right now? Why wouldn't they have done it years ago? Why wouldn't Biden could have released it, but Biden just sit on all this anti-Trump evidence? So, I have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. It all seems very strange, and I'd be willing to bet if the truth ever did come out on like the Crooks stuff and why all this weird stuff happened, and other just weird stuff relating to Epstein, it's probably something that we never even thought of, just some super weird conspiracy. I don't know, Trump was involved in a sugarcane smuggling ring, and we're like, never saw that coming.
War.
Like Bongino and Cash,
War never changes.
there were really something in there that would be sort of conclusive. At the very least, it'd be winking and nodding.
That's why it has to be.
Damn, dude, you jumped off a building and just rolled?
Really, but isn't it interesting to speculate on Cash and Dan going into the FBI, and then they had this interview where Dan's like, Epstein
With like 100 pounds of gear on you?
Like, I know what you're saying, Tate, and I had a lot of hype for them, but they look like hostages. And
What if they got in And the FBI is like, come on down to the.
He is the better killer, dog.
We're gonna bring you in for a debriefing, and they go in this room, and then like these double doors open up. They walk in, it closes, lights turn off, and then all of a sudden a screen turns on. There's this gigantic red eye being like, I am the AI. You work for me now.
Yeah. We've been, I think we've rediscovered AI. I'll have to get into the whole, it's an ancient entity that we've rediscovered, but I feel like it's an algorithm that's been in charge.
Yo, the AI stuff freaks me out over and this is what demoralizes me. I've been saying this is demoralizing. All these bickering drama debates. I've been having conversations earlier today with people about. It's like people are talking about people. We're not talking about the problems this country is facing. And to an extent they are, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to see that Trump got back on message. Or he's improving, he's getting back on message. Him calling for the release of the Epstein files, good play, whatever it may be. Some are suggesting it was fifth dimension chess the whole time. I always say this, I don't know why it needs to be 5, why can't it just be 3 dimensional chess? Like an extra layer or whatever. But, you know, it's pretty wild. Did you guys talk about the Democrat already who was colluding with Epstein? I mean, this is crazy.
Well, I think the reason why we're seeing all the discourse just centered around talking about other people is just because society has become very feminized. And like naturally, men talk about ideas and philosophy, and women talk about other people. And that's just there's benefits to that. But this is what we're seeing is like it's just much more convenient and conducive for society just to discuss other people because everything's all like.
This was actually on. I don't know if you guys watched the Jesse Waters intro, but as I'm sitting in the van waiting to do the show, he's talking about the difference between men and women. And he showed this funny clip where guys are trying to watch a game at a bar and some female politician is blowing bubbles everywhere. All the women are like dancing and hooting. And it's just like, yeah, men and women are very, very different. Very different.
There is something to be said about like the people that are driving these narratives for the most part are podcasters. And podcast space is largely male dominated. So you've got guys that are even on the right that are ostensibly some form of masculine, but there's still
Yeah, it's fucking bugged, dude.
I don't think that it's just feminine. I think that it's a lot of it is just profit.
But I think
it's
like
driven by what will get the clicks.
But like oftentimes like people will say like, oh, like the media's like, oh, Joe Rogan is this, they're like extremist ideology, and then you tune in and you're just like, what if red meant go and green
That's what's crazy though, because to them that is radical.
Right.
Like the Joe Rogan-esque kind of, you know, stoned generic conversation is deviant to their weird hive that they exist in.
I mean,
Go ahead. I was gonna say they don't like things that are outside of the monolith. You have to. It's a hive mind. You have to agree with everything.
the Overton movement is shifted so far to the leftist, ideology that to say things that 100 years ago was completely reasonable. Now it's like it's revolt. The idea, like I'm not for universal enfranchisement. I think there should be limits on who can actually vote when it comes to federal elections. That is incredibly radical to most people nowadays. The idea that everyone shouldn't be allowed to vote. It's like, I mean, look, man, you go outside and everybody you talk to, they're gonna say, man, half the people I meet every day are stupid. So why do you want them to vote?
Did y'all get to the 2000 checks yet?
No, we got.
All right, let's hit this one. We got this from the New York Post. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get paid. Trump reveals when moderate income Americans can expect to get $2,000 tariff dividend checks. And I say, bravo, it's the right move. The estimate based on the total tariffs that have come in is that Trump will be able to give around 100 million people a check for $2,000. I am for this. This is beautiful. Trump vowed to issue tariff dividends sometimes before the 26 midterms during the Oval Office event. We're going to be issuing dividends later on, somewhere prior to the middle of next year. A little bit later than that, he said. Noting it would include thousands of dollars for individuals of moderate income. Bissett said the payments could come in lots of forms, including just the tax decreases that we are seeing following cuts made in the big, beautiful bill. So maybe you actually don't get a check, you just pay less tax, you get a refund. I am for this. I got a video I put up on my Tim Pool channel, youtube.com/@TimPool. Check it out. Where there's this debate from Luke Beasley versus 20 Boomer Trump supporters. And the first argument is about MAGAnomics, which is just a buzzword for nothing. You mean the tariffs? And of course, Luke Beasley, who won't come back on the Culture War 4 debate, engages in sophistry, or just lies. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe he's dumb. The tariffs are brilliant. I'm a huge fan. We're not going to see the job repercussions just yet. It's going to take some time to rebuild our manufacturing base. But for now, it is good, in my opinion, that we are telling American companies, it's going to cost you more money to hire a Chinese or Indonesian laborer than an American worker to bring these jobs back. I will stress this though, because we can split the story in two. While Donald Trump is in favor of that, and I like it, he's also a big AI guy, which of course is going to, you can't coexist in this space. AI is another industrial revolution that is going to wipe out a massive
What was the
amount
guy
of
doing?
jobs. Plus you've got the Optimus robot. Elon Musk talking about how the Optimus robot is going to be doing surgery better than a doctor. So your high-skilled jobs are going to be wiped out by robots and computers. I don't know how these ideologies actually work alongside each other.
They don't. This is a
All right, we're cooked.
No.
This is a short-term benefit. This is good. People are suffering, and people could use anything they can get. And I'm pro-tariff, but it can't coexist in a pro-data center.
I only have my fan on in my room.
For all the data centers. And it's not like they're going to bring in jobs, because even the largest data center in the world only has like 100 employees, 125 employees. So and that's the largest one. Most of them only have 20, 25.
And they have replaced. This is one of the stories that we were talking about the other day. These there's an old aluminum refinery, probably had what, hundreds of thousands of jobs plus, something like that.
A lot. Yeah.
And now you get a data center with arguably maybe 100 jobs, because you only really need a dozen or so.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of these data centers. We are watching, and this is what people need to be careful of, because I'm a fan when I hear the stuff about these tariffs, these dividends.
Damn, dude.
People who want to buy products from Temu, fine. But that money is going to get sent back across to the American people, and Trump was talking about using that to help them pay for healthcare. And I'm like, let's go. If you want to buy from China, feel free to. And that's how that money you spend, that's going to pay for healthcare. Okay, fine.
Yeah, dude.
Not a perfect solution, but in this digital world where services can be done internationally and products can be easily shipped, we need some kind of protectionism, in my opinion. That being said, this country is turning into a giant field of black cubes with fake houses around them and no jobs. And I wonder if all of these arguments about we got to turn the population crisis around from politicians, I wonder if they're just lying because it's a pressure release valve. Trump is the, what, it's Stargate? Or no, it wasn't Stargate. It was,
Project Stargate, yeah.
it was Stargate was like the big AI project.
$500 billion, yeah.
Trump is very much for this. I get it. We don't want China to do it. But the end result is the argument is saying we have no choice. Humanity is reaching its back end out there. We're coming down.
And the argument people will say is, well, we got to beat China. You know, but it's like, so we destroy ourselves like China's destroying themselves, and they'll say, well, it's a beautiful city, but I'll be like, okay, well, it's a city built on the social credit system through the AI, you know, so it's like, it's really no win. It's like gain of function, you know, once they start it, there's no putting it back in the bottle.
Yeah, and China's just like what they make like 13 grand is like the GDP per capita. They just strap RGB lights to a building and they're like, whoa.
That's the way that they advertise.
Well,
look at all the lights, and so that means that we're an advanced society. It's
Well, they did a dragon drone. Whoa! And
But-
meanwhile, it's like half the country's like really struggling to make ends meet.
Sure, but I have heard good things from Hassan Piker.
Yeah, he just cried when he got Mao's red book.
I mean, the shock.
Are you
yeah.
for real?
There's a video of
yeah.
him getting the red book, like, dude,
It was
he's insane.
one of the original copies that was in English, and they're very rare, and so he was very excited. That's like, oh man, someone gave me a copy of Mein Kampf. Thank you so much.
It still had blood
I gotta
on
be
it from
honest.
the
Did it
decapitation.
really?
No.
Oh, I was
Captain
like,
America, dog.
I would love to own a copy of the Little Red Book.
No, it'd be great. I'm not going to cry at it.
Sure. Like I'm a big fan of of artifacts and learning history. The lesson that I would give to people from Here's the Red Book is here is the evil. As Hassan's going to be like, we can try again.
Do you know how expensive it is to make a shock collar in the United States?
Oh yeah, he'd never buy one of those. Yeah, just that poor dog. But
allowed to disagree with Trump?
no, definitely. Oh yeah, by all means, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with tariffs. I like the tariffs as bringing in revenue. I just don't think we should be sending it back to the American people. We should be taking a look at this, huge deficit that we have. And unfortunately, the American people are pretty ignorant on basic economics, which is if we continue to print money, that's why grocery prices are so high. That's why home prices. I don't know about you guys. I live in Austin. Between 2020 and 2024, the value of my home went up by 100%. Why? Because everybody moved there. There's a ton of money being flooded into the economy. We printed trillions and trillions of dollars. Our debt now is half of our budget. You know, it's bigger than the military budget. I mean, I think we should put all this money, we should reduce deficits. We are toast if we can't get these deficits down.
I agree.
We are
but-
absolutely done if these deficits don't get reduced. I say put every dollar of this back to reducing debt.
I disagree there, but I agree on the deficit issue in general, and that's got to come from real spending cuts. The problem is everyone's addicted, and nobody wants to actually be the one to say stop spending the credit card.
I agree.
But let me say this with the tariffs. The reason why Trump is offering these dividends is because the American public does not understand long-term planning. The individual is in the immediate saying, I need to feed my family. What do tariffs mean? Democrats are weaponizing this, like I mentioned that Luke Beasley guy lying, where he says, the economy is bad and tariffs are fault. I'm like, just made that up. Give me the correlation. Give me the causation. We need these tariffs because it is impossible for an American manufacturer to compete with Chinese peasant labor. So the point of the tariffs is to say, if you make the product over there, it'll be more expensive than a product made here. How do you then convince a regular old American default labor who's not paying attention to these issues to say, trust us in the long term, you will succeed? You can't. So what does Trump say? The tariff money is going to go to you in your pocket to cover your short-term expenses. And now you're going to see the normies go, okay, I'm good on these tariffs. What's that going to do? Step one, bring back manufacturing. Now, the argument Trump has made on why this is beneficial is we're going to be under-leveraged. If we can generate more economic activity internally, we can start generating more revenue.
Nice.
Revenue, just through volume alone. And
Whose
use
fault is that, dog?
I will concede, however, Trump ain't doing that unless he gets the spending way down. Because
Elon tried that, and he got kicked out.
the debt.
Yeah, what about you, dog?
The deficit needs to be reduced.
Yes.
So, does anyone have any opinion on whether the $2,000 dividend is a response to is this
I think
to stimulate spending?
I think it's in response to the Supreme Court potentially striking down Trump's authority on the tariffs, which would be catastrophic for this country. I believe Trump is 100% correct on this issue, and the Supreme Court.
They're going. We're going.
I think Trump's play here is we need the American people to demand it. We want the Supreme Court is a wholly political body. These people, save Thomas and Alito, are cowards. And if the American people are demanding it, the Supreme Court's going to say, fine. I mean, look at the issue of gay marriage. They refused to even listen to that case, despite the fact, on the merits, whatever you think about gay marriage, that was an insane ruling that they made back in, was it 2015 or 14? They won't even listen to it. They won't even listen to Texas v. Pennsylvania, which is their due to the Constitution in original jurisdiction. Sorry, Thomas and Alito are based, and the rest of them are too scared. I get it. Someone tried to kill Captain. But the issue here is Trump is basically saying, I want the American people to scream out, we want tariffs.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it.
Well, and Trump's trying to conduct like long-term policy in a democracy, which is just like
I'm bleeding out,
If you look at like China, Iran, Russia, for what it's worth, like they're able to plan in terms of decades because they're not accountable to voters. But the United States, you have to think in terms of like if you're in the House 2 years, if you're a senator 6 years, president 4 years. It's like it's impossible to really conduct any long-term.
I think this is all about midterms. I mean, I think it's about midterms next year. We're coming off the government shutdown. You can argue whether the Democrats or the Republicans look worse on that. The whole issue in the midterms is going to be the Republicans don't want to give us our free health care. Trump offset that by saying, yes, you didn't use our free health care, but we're going to give you $2,000. I think it's a political move, specifically around the midterm. We just read when are these things going to happen? Mid-2026, when is the midterms going to happen? End of 2026. I think this is a post-shutdown political game by Trump to get more money. And I think these things always end up bad. Government giving more money. It's just a buying of votes from my perspective.
Anytime you do cash injections, you end up exacerbating the gap between poor and inflation because poor people have to spend their money, right? They're gonna if you give someone $2,000 dividend, invest that or sit on it, they're gonna spend it on their needs, and that money is inevitably gonna go to people that have property, that own things. That money is gonna go to the people that own businesses, to the people that already have things. So anytime you do cash injections,
That's where all the money from the 2020 and 2021 and all those things went. Where did it go? It went to all the rich people. The rich got richer, the poor got poorer, and the poor are the ones who are now paying $9 for a pound of ground beef as opposed to $5 or $6.
It's
If I'm making $300,000 a year, I don't give a shit if I'm paying $9 for a pound of ground beef. But the guy who's making $20,000 does.
That's all
right?
true, but the point that I'm making is, and it's something that we've talked about on the show in the past, right? Right now, people are looking at the income inequality in the United States, and that's driving them away from reasonable policies. It's driving them to socialism. And so if you continue to pump money into the economy and create a larger gap between the wealthy and the poor, you're only going to make the poor people, which are there are far more poor people than there are rich people, you're only going to make them more angry, and they're going to say, well, then this isn't working. We need some kind of new system.
And I will stress this too. If this continues long term, just giving $2,000 dividend checks to poor people, you're going to create wildlife dependency syndrome.
Well, I think we already
Do not feed the bears; they'll become dependent.
Well, I think we already have. That's like the problem is the Democrats have built out this massive patronage network, and that's how they're able to get fantastic election results in cities. And so I think that's all Trump's trying to do here is trying to create a patronage network for Americans. Like it's a very radical idea. That's clearly what he's setting up here.
What, can I just campaign on that? Can I like run for office and just be like, vote for me, and I will tax rich people to give money straight up check. Like I'll just. Well, we're gonna tax them. There's not enough of them to vote against me, so you vote against them. I'll give you their money. Straight up, no bickering, no innuendo. I will outright just take from them.
But that's where the frustration's coming from, because if you like looked at the discourse,
It's your
around the
favorite
SNAP
map,
benefits
dog.
ending, that's getting to the heart of where the real anger is that it's the productive Americans versus the unproductive Americans. So that's all that's happening here. Is there's been this massive patronage network the Democrats have set up for unproductive Americans. I think Trump is just trying to get the boot off of the neck of like working people.
Totally. And you mentioned buying votes. That's what's been happening. They've been buying these votes for like what, 80 years? Like they've been doing it for a long time, and it's like we're doing it like it's a lot better than printing more money. It's real value.
100% agree with that. I have no issue with the tariffs. What I'm saying is don't take the tariffs and then give it to the people, but take the tariffs and use it to reduce the deficit so we can stop printing money, we can slow this inflation down. Inflation's at what, 3%?
Totally.
It's clearly more than 3%.
Damn, dog,
There's
you
no way
quit.
that's 3%. The way that they calculate CPI is a total disaster. It's a total joke.
Glad you know that.
And so, it's not 3%, and the poor people are the ones that are getting hurt most. So all I'm saying is, let's reduce the deficit. Let's get it down as far as we can. Stop printing all this money. Get inflation under control. And I'm a fan of the tariffs. Let's use that as a tool to do
You just don't
that.
agree with where it's going. Which
I just disagree with where it's going.
Totally
I
understand.
wish they would have let Elon and them go after it. Elon basically came out and said, "There's no freaking way. We're going to reduce spending." And so I think we're toast on the deficit unless we can do something like this to offset it.
I think the problem too is like there's not much of an appetite among even Republicans now for reducing the deficit, because that was what motivated like the Tea Party. I mean, this is
You don't get
What do
votes
you
by reducing
describe the times we're in? Is it a
Been there for
depression,
whole
a
platform for 16
recession?
years. We're going to reduce the deficit, and then it continues to go up. So I think the American people are saying it's not going anywhere. I might as well like raid the Treasury on the way out, and at least again build that system to reward Americans in some way. Like I think people just don't really believe the Republicans anymore when it comes to like we're going to reduce the
And they
deficit.
shouldn't.
And we're economically ignorant as a society. We don't understand the fact that we have huge deficits. Everybody's looking at, me, what do I get, right? And you're going to buy votes. It's going to continue to happen. Republicans and Democrats.
Let's jump to the story from the New York Post. Let our people go. Zoran Mamdani victory spurs Staten Island polls to renew bid to pull out of New York City. That's right, my friends. Staten Island wants to secede from the state of New York, from the city of New York, because it's a conservative enclave. It's relatively smaller or lower in population density.
Why is
and
that?
They don't want to be in a city of communists. I would say this. They've had the conversation before. They've been pushing this bill. This is Lanza. Staten Island has been pushing a bill since 2008, seeing little traction. But now that it's swung so far left and people are fleeing, even Democrats may agree with this. The argument being, if Staten Island leaves, New York City becomes a socialist guarantee. You will never get a Republican or independent mayor again. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't care about all that. I mean, it is bad if we have this entrenchment and polarization. But I believe that if any part of this United States internally wants to secede from their respective jurisdiction, and either isolate or join a new one, they should be allowed to do it. Staten Island says we want to be our own city. They should be federally allowed to do it by simple vote.
There's something really interesting that no one's talking about with the Staten Island thing. Because if Staten Island were to secede from New York City, it would destroy the FDNY. Because the fire department in New York, when you're becoming a firefighter, you take like a test, and they give you bonus points for living within the 5 boroughs. And that like puts you above everybody else. Now, if Staten Island secedes, they lose those bonus points for living in New York City. The world's best firefighters are in Staten Island. Look at this rate. The FDNY is going to be just full of like DMV employees. The police department, yeah, but the fire department specifically rewards for living in the 5 boroughs. Can you imagine what EMS is going to look like when it's just like DMV employees in charge of everything? Like New York City is going to become third world in so many different ways. This would be a massive hit.
This polarization is going to happen. People are either going to secede, like Staten Island's either going to get out, or these people are going to move somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why New Jersey's even in play, is because so many New Yorkers that still need access to the city move across the river to New Jersey, because it's like slightly, it's a slight improvement. And so, yeah, it's going to put New Jersey and Connecticut into play more. Because everyone talks about Florida, everyone knows that, but it's like a lot of people still need the city because they work in it, and it's just going to like benefit Republicans in Connecticut and New Jersey, but destroy New York City.
Has the Wu-Tang Clan made a comment yet about this?
No.
That's all I care.
Have the Practical Jokers made a statement?
Okay.
Don't hate the player, dog.
New York
Hate the
and New Jersey lose
game.
hundreds of billions in resident income as Americans flee to low-tax states. This has been going on for some time. So Mamdani coming in, he says he wants New York City to have the highest, I think it was Mamdani, he wants New York City to have the highest corporate tax rate in the country, or rival New Jersey's corporate tax rate around 11.7%. Companies are just going to leave. I mean, you see Delaware's already bleeding companies. Coinbase has announced they're leaving Delaware because an activist Democrat judge said we can stop your company from functioning like a normal company. You know what really pisses me about that? The shareholders voted to give Elon money. He said, Elon, we want to give you money. We want our stock to go up. We want the company to succeed. He says, okay. You get one guy with a small handful of shares who sues, and the judge says, okay, the will of the shareholder is now gone because I said so. I, the shareholder, I can't sue because a judge ruled it. I can't sue the judge, and I can't sue the company to make them pay because the company already wants to.
Don't fucking
These Democrat activists in politics are losing their minds, and they're going to burn their cities and states to the ground. We wrote about it, but this is going to create escape from New York. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe the real conspiracy among the elites is how do we turn New York into a giant prison so we can have escape from New York with this, what was his name, Snake Plissken? That's right. We want it.
Yeah.
There's some guy right now in the Trump administration who was, 10 or 11 years old when that movie came out, and he's like, man, I really wish we had that. And he's colluding behind the scenes to make it happen, and maybe that's Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah,
Maybe he just loved that movie.
Well, it's like, I mean, Democrats, they do want this. I mean, like a lot of Republicans scratch their heads. If you're going to destroy your city, you're going to you're going to destroy their business. It's like, yeah, so then all their opposition leaves and they have to stay to themselves. Do you think barbecue down in Haiti was like improve the country? No, he wants to stay in power. He wants to eat people.
It happened during
Not
lockdown.
accusing
It happened
anyone
during
of
lockdown. Everyone left the city.
Yeah,
a lot
but
of
never-
businesses died. Bought up a lot of buildings. And the ones who didn't buy, like the hotels, kicked a lot of those and used them for groups.
Yes.
And then the mayor gave them debit cards.
People will leave. This is something that the right, this is an argument that the right makes all the time. Look, if you do this, people will leave. Look, if you do this, people will leave. And the left says, no, it's happening in Delaware right now. It's happening in New York right now. People absolutely.
New York's a particularly interesting example because this is a phenomenon that occurs across the Anglosphere. Is the biggest city in Anglosphere country with a sizable conservative minority. So London has the same thing, Sydney has the same thing, Toronto has the same thing. And so what's happening now is they're trying to overturn that because the biggest city in your country, I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, New York, let it collapse. It's like, yeah, this is the seat of our empire. Like, we're talking about the biggest city that really exemplifies what America is, unfortunately, but it's just true. That's the way, your biggest city works. It's the flagship of your country. So it's like, that's all they're trying to do here. They're trying to consolidate power. It's really demoralizing, quite frankly. New York. The effect that would have, I know a lot of people in chat are like, who cares New York? But the average American likes to vacation in New York. They like to watch Fox News and see the city back, and they say, wow, that's America. Wow, this is a beautiful city, etc. Destroying that has a huge demoralizing effect on Americans, whether you like New York or not. It's just the reality.
Yeah, and destroying New York City destroys the rest of New York. Destroys the rest of New York. It has the ripple effect, and you can see when Paris did all their gas taxes, and they started the ripple effects, and they got this round of riots. There's a lot of people getting impacted by ridiculous policies by the city people who don't care about them. And I mean, we're seeing a lot of that stuff happening. And most people paying attention. Like what was on in Mexico the other day was insane. You know, the violence is out of control. And I mean, that stuff could happen here.
Yeah, I mean, like the UK is doing a lot where it's like in their case, I mean, America loves cities, but the UK, like London is a city. So all they really have to do is destroy London, and that destroys the country. That's where the unprotected jobs, that's where their culture comes out of, et cetera, you name it. They only have to destroy one city. In America's case, we have backups, obviously, but New York City ultimately still is like where the culture comes out of, where a lot of our, I mean, a huge chunk of our GDP is concentrated in that tri-state area. It's like, again, I wish we could say just leave it. You know, like Chicago, you can experiment a little bit, maybe chuck the socials out, let's see what happens. You know, Chicago, what do we, you know, this NASCAR race.
City like that. How dare you?
I think we're dealing with fatigue across the board. I think people are politically fatigued. We are in, you know, just after the presidential cycle, so people, I think, are generally culture war fatigued. I've been hearing it quite a bit, and just recently something funny happened where at the casino here in Charlestown, they have commemorative John Brown chips. I know Shane's got this look on his face like, interesting. And, well, so one guy at the table was, I forgot what someone brought up, that, that people will go and then it came up, and I said, I think it's actually kind of surprising people do that. It's almost like they're honoring the guy. And then he said, well, I mean, maybe you don't want to praise him, but you don't denounce him. And I said, yes, you do. And then he said, we can't do this. We can't get into politics. And I was like, not even 1860s politics.
Too soon.
Like, too soon. Yes. I guess I brought it up because I thought it was a funny scenario where it's like you can't debate 1855.
It's not that you can't debate 1855 politics. It's you can't debate anything the left holds dear.
Well, I don't think this guy was necessarily a lefty. I think it was, he said we can't do this because everyone is sick of politics. And it was like, he's like, we're going to get into it. Let's just play this game and have a good time. And I'm like, I do.
Well, I mean, we can denounce it. We don't have to kill people, but John did also hate slavery. That was against.
Well, now we're in the debate.
Yeah.
The issue with the random purpose car armor is one thing, but his entire legacy of what was happening in Bleeding, Kansas is nightmarish. I mean, John Brown and his sons and these other people involved, they murdered journalists. They went to
What, dog?
presses. It was back and forth. Pro-slavery forces.
Why'd you say nice?
Anti-slavery people go to farms and kill people. But I'm not here to have that debate. But you know, I just want to point out. My point is that I think people are generally just like, I don't want to hear, dude. I'm so just burned all of this. I think the issue.
You got a fucking problem?
It feels like a rag being squeezed as hard as possible to blast a little bit of water out of it. And I'm just waiting for that pop to be like, we've done it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it feels like it ain't there.
I think something on the edge of something crazy. I mean, it just says, I think that, well, that is a whole other problem, but like, I feel like we are on the edge of
Oh, God.
I think that's almost why we're done. It's been pumped into everyone's heads. We've been trapped in an election cycle for 15 years, right?
Can't fucking do that, dog. It's illegal.
But I was always a political junkie, and since Trump, it's never stopped. The media, everyone went crazy, and I think they took advantage of that. They hijacked the algorithm, social media. Everyone went insane.
Fucking fix your goddamn aim. Fucking piece of shit. Hey, fuck.
And then something happens.
I wonder if a lot of it was, you know, the story of Obama using Facebook to help him win.
Fucking faggot needs aim assist.
A young Christian effort went to him and said, are you using social media? And they were like, we don't know what that is, because they're all essentially. And so they decided to start campaigning on social media that helped him turn out more of the youth vote, which wasn't like the principal factor, but it was a big thing we were talking about. I wonder if Democrats after that point said, we need to own this. This will rally people, and this created the phenomenon that's driving wokeness and ultimately helped people avoid.
Take over this domain for a while, and they did.
But I'm going to let you guys in on a not-so-secret secret. On, what was it, Thursday? Last week, the Culture War interviews with Ben Davidson about a solar storm. 200 hours. Typically, you know, when we do interviews on the show, it's like maybe like 80 to 100. I think people are just, I think there's a couple things. One, when it comes to the political issues, it's just like, I've heard this 100 million times. It's about tariffs have been going on now for longer than a year, with them in effect for about a year. Okay. And the political violence stuff is just ramping up. I mean, I'll be honest, it's how I feel. I see people in the chat are saying something to that effect as well. I feel like we're all
You gotta sit down, dog.
You always say the same thing, where people are like, give me a solution, solve the problem, or talk to me about football.
Yeah, literally. I used to be like politics for nerds, like guys that wear suits to school. And then it turned into blood sport, like everyone was tuning in at night for all these shows and everything. Now we're kind of going back to like maybe the nerds get
I agree. I think when you look at that young kid everyone's been ragging on, what's his name? Brylan Allahan. I don't mean to rag on him. I'm not being disrespectful. But conservatives have always come off as stodgy, suit-wearing, boring dudes. And they were the ones who were talking high-level politics. And Democrats were the ones who were tugging at your heartstrings, being like, but look, little kids are crying. You prefer the Constitution. And people were like, okay. Republicans now seem to be drifting back into that space. And I think a good example of this is actually the Candace Owens stuff. Let's jump into this. Let's get drama with it. We got the story from Us Weekly. Christian influencer Allie Beth Stuckey slams Candace Owens' claims Charlie Kirk murder was an inside job. So if you've been following it, actually, you know what'd be funny? Let's ask Grok, because Grok does not like Candace Owens. That's not meant to be a joke. I mean, like, let's see what it says. I'm gonna ask it a question.
Grok, why don't you like Candace Owens? So the drama is, I still feel like the drama is something that is still kind of feminine. I know that people, it gets clicks and stuff, but, you know, you hear people on the right, podcasters, and things like that, and do I just think that the response is to click the next podcast, and I think that there needs to be more people that are going out to do it.
This is my point. Candace was getting big traction on the Blake Lively stuff. I know nothing about that, but like basically everyone was in that. She talked about Bridget McCrone being a man and not policy. I thought it was interesting. She got sued. We talked about it. Other than that, not really. Like, when there's a legal action, I'm like, ooh, interesting. But just like the claims of man, I'm like, I don't think Bridget McCrone's a man. I mean, maybe whatever. Now the Charlie Kirk murder, potential inside job stuff, I think the success that she is having right now is largely indicative of people don't care about the policy process. They're burned on it. We have been told it a million times. Trump has said X, just over and over and over again. Tariffs, policy. And we're still waiting to see results on these things, which probably won't. And so people are like, on board, I want something else. Well, you know, Candace has offered them these things, which has resulted in political controversy. So I asked Grok, has Candace Owens implied Erica Kirk knew in advance about the Charlie's assassination? Charlie Kirk. Grok says, yes. Candace Owens has implied, I'm going to zoom in on this, that Erica Kirk knew in advance about the circumstances surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Fucking faggots firing RPGs.
While Owens explicitly denied directly accusing Erica of involvement in his murder, she has made repeated statements suggesting Erica had prior knowledge of threats or a broader conspiracy tied to Turning Point USA, which Erica now leads as the CEO. And so they just, you know, Owens' comments stem from her ongoing conspiracy theories about the assassination, etc. Again, I think people are really interested in conspiracy theories. They're fun. I mean that in general. Same thing related to Charlie. You know, this idea that there's an ice wall, for instance. It's been covered up. People are interested by this stuff. And I think right now, the challenge is when we are told for a year straight political violence, and it keeps happening, eventually we're just like, I know. When Trump says tariffs, and that the argument has not changed. The response is, I know. Tell me something I don't know.
When it comes to the Grok thing, though, and asking that question, doesn't that answer have something to do with the amount of people saying that Candace said that, even though Candace didn't actually say that?
Potentially. But for whatever reason Grok is saying this, I wonder if Candace could potentially have a defamation claim.
Direct implication part, she said
wow, seems like Erica knew about the threat, and she now runs an organization that killed Charlie, and she hasn't done anything about it, and it makes you wonder what else she knew. This was widely interpreted as hinting at Erica's awareness of security risks or internal betrayal before the shooting.
I'm curious if that's a real quote.
I bet it's not. I bet it's
I've watched almost all the episodes. I don't remember her saying anything like that.
And they put the
And
dot,
notice,
dot, which means
look at the dots.
I don't think this is real. And that thing right there, Erica knows everything that she said in the replies. She was just quoting Andrew Coleman, who said that on a podcast.
She didn't quote anybody. She just literally said it. But
That's what he said. Those 3 words too.
someone asked, did Erica know about the donor or something like that? She said,
Right.
Erica knows everything.
Right. I think that's what she was referring to. I mean, I don't know, but when I see Erica knows everything, that's what Andrew said, and then he had to clarify the next day because everyone was like, "What does that mean?" And he clarified. I forget the context, but
like all of this just epitomizes like the TMZ-ification of politics, and that's just what people like get completely exhausted with. Because it's like with the Maury show. It's like the first time you watch it, you go, "Oh wow, this is crazy! Look at this!" And then, what are you tuning in every night?
I'll say this though to defend because I'm enjoying Candace's.
I'm enjoying it too. I'm just saying like that's
I'm
why people
enjoying it,
keep
but like
around.
I would say Calendargate was drama and ridiculous, and this is different than that because it's not just surface level. I don't hear her actually blaming certain people for the murder, but I hear her going on different. If anyone's read Crying of Lot 49, it reminds me of
Attack and target the objectives. Take ground and control the Let's move.
that are interesting that pull together different threads. There's no answers yet, but I like the question. It's the same way I defended Alex Jones during
Well,
Sunday.
I think the question is, if you were to go to somebody right now and say, we have the option to talk about tariffs or this weird picture of Bush in the Charlie assassination, people are going to be like, talk about the Bush.
Yeah, I'm sure obviously a lot of people are engaged. Her numbers are insane. A lot of people are just
She's had good numbers across the board. I don't think the Charlie Kirk thing is driving people increasing her.
I don't personally think she's doing it for numbers. The Brigitte thing was interesting. At first, I didn't care, but if you watch it, it's really about how pedophiles are being done, and you feel like that's
And she's
people out.
really taken over the Alex Jones.
That's what I had Alex Jones on my show a few weeks ago. And I said they're going to do to him.
It's already happened. Getting sued with there was an argument, I guess, that they had said something to her to prove.
No, I mean, I don't really care about Brigitte her, but the story around it is fascinating. I mean, the amount of people that are involved in the politics of that administration and how openly the is disgusting and disturbing.
Strangely, a lot of governments, a lot of world leaders.
Exactly. That's why it's so fascinating.
I love how the Epstein stuff was you're nuts to talk about it, and then as people begins to break down, now it's like, yeah, no, we don't know about it. In fact, the Democrats are accusing Trump of the Epstein stuff. Trump's now saying, "Now release it," and I'm like, that's what I was saying. I'm just no one knows. Like, it's gonna be something weird, like I don't know, Trump was just like a low level hot dealer.
We have Bravo under attack.
It's going to turn out that something is going to be just what we didn't expect. Or it could be just completely on the nose. Epstein, pedophile, rich people, lying kids.
It's part of the architecture to turn these stories into something absurd, so that way people actually lose
Objective
focus
Delta
on
has
what
been
if you actually drill
neutralized.
down with the subject. They do the same thing with Bill turn into like like something bad happens, like, oh, you had information leading to the press. It's like, yeah, because if you can like arbitrage and like turn it into a certain thing, it completely loses what the actual story was about in the first place.
Hostile forces
I asked, she said Robinson was framed? Yes, Candace Owens repeatedly stated she could imply that Tyler Robinson was framed for Charlie Kirk's assassination on September 10th.
hold more
Plans
objectives.
portrayed the official narrative Robinson as the lone gunman motivated by anti-conservative ideology was a government-orchestrated cover involving evidence tampering, witness suppression, planned and needed. I gotta be honest, that narrative is infinitely more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that on this show because that I question that.
Should we just talk about data centers and
I think it's one of the only things we should be talking about because it's going to affect the farmland. It's going to genocide the middle class. It's whatever's left of the middle class.
it's cooked, bro.
And the data centers aren't only going to take the farmland and all that. It's also whoever does the house with those things. It's going to make them pay more. They're already seeing the energy bills and the water bills.
I think that declining birth rate. I'll put it this way. I try to be very careful on this stuff. I think there is a decent probability, based in reality, that powerful corporate and government forces, military technologies will Industrial Revolution. We know what happened the first time, the Luddites. There was violence. People's had to get their job.
And they put more soldiers against the Luddites.
So what happens if they say, listen, the computers are going to bring about a new industrial revolution once we hit artificial intelligence, and it takes over a lot of these jobs? How do we prevent a Luddite revolt? Simple. No Luddites.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this in the other thing. I was thinking how they created, Unibody was MK Ultra. That's something like that. And I was like, maybe they created the MK Ultra. MK Ultra can make Luddites look bad. You know.
I'm saying
I agree with his book.
I'm
His book
saying
is amazing.
that
Just no violence.
they were advocating for a culture in which people don't have children.
Yeah.
That by the time the AI clicks on, it's like, oh, thank God, the AI has filled the role for these jobs we don't have. You guys see Ford saying they can't find mechanics? The robots are coming. The problem is nobody's going to be buying cars.
The CEO of Anthropic was just on like 60 Minutes or something talking about how they're going to work jobs and like that half the workforce. And I was thinking about how Peter Thiel's been talking about criticizing AI and calls it every anti-Christ. And I was thinking at first, there's a lot of people like us who are openly critical. Maybe it is, but I think it's also against his competition because he's been open about wanting to monopolize his own space. So he's talking about Anthropic, he's talking about Altman, and he wants to
I want to ask you guys about this new show that just came out. Let me see if I can find it.
I watched one episode.
Let me grab this article. This is from The Hollywood Reporter. Pluribus boss Gordon Smith addresses anti-AI substitutes. He says it's less rich to spell things out. Smith acknowledges another prominent theory of the show is vision, but there's an under-discussed topic he raises after episode 3 of Rayesh Seahorn starring series Gilligan. So for those that are familiar, this is not really a spoiler because I learned this just from the show's info section. It's actually, I guess they have to release this information before you see the first episode, despite the fact that, like, watching the episode. Anyway, the point is, humans get a signal from outer space. It is an RNA sequence. They put the sequence together. It accidentally infects humans, turning humans into a hive mind. And it's really interesting. I watched the first couple of episodes. And without getting into any spoilers in particular, as it pertains to the AI conversation, the gist of the show is 12 people on the planet are not affected. They're immune for some reason. But every human becomes one. And they refer to themselves as us. And there's a guy in the show, and he's like, is this the end of the world? Is it wrong? So I'm curious, with this new show coming out, I was thinking about it. No murder. Everybody just one with each other, working towards a shared common goal. But it sounds like a nightmare dystopia.
It's zombie paradise.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Zombie paradise. What do you guys think?
I mean, I watched the first episode. I also thought it was kind of like they're probably going to explore this in later episodes and like whether there are positives and negatives.
Take ground, hold it at all costs.
Is it just a feeling thing that you feel like trying to be individual? Because I know friends, most of my friends in Japan don't feel similar fundamentally. So I don't know.
But I'm curious as to how they even do a show. Because basically there's the woman and the hive. And whenever she talks, like, there are actors and actresses who play, you know, hive humans or whatever, but it's one character. And it's just like they're all talking at the same time.
I thought there was a funny. I also thought this episode. It was a funny moment. I won't give too much away when she's sitting in her house after everything was gone. And the TV was on. It was like a very interesting feeling. You know, I haven't seen a lot of my shows and like maybe collected. But it did work. Quiet
This is interesting. The scene is they're outside a bar. They look up and there's all these planes spraying lasers. Yeah. The nasty part was when the scientists had.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was great how it accelerated so quickly. It also remind people of Rocky.
So I guess we're gonna get to those. We have to, but only to episode 2 because I haven't seen episode 3 yet. So people see episode 3, feel free to spoil it for me. Yes. But one of the in the first episode, what happens is people start getting infected, and their brains start leaking. And I guess the main character is like a lesbian.
I almost tuned out when I saw that.
To be honest, I was like, stop. I thought it was her publicist, and then she's like, hey baby, and I was like, do you really
Trump's America. Do we need this?
No, it's just that it's always ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if 1 in 10 episodes had a gay couple, I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. But when literally every single show, everyone's gay, and I'm like, we get it, dude, you're gay. But anyway, her lesbian significant other dies. And then you find out, spoiler alert, I warned you, you find out 866 million people died in the chemtrail spray mass infection. And she makes this point one episode, she's like, you never gave anybody a choice. You forced them, and then an eighth of the planet, 7th of the planet died.
I was thinking that we're watching predictive programming roll out right before our very eyes.
Bro,
now
just
we know
like
it.
Utopia.
I was just going to say, just like Utopia, because that was happening right before COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Utopia? Bro, you don't know what it's about. So it's,
What is it on? What
what was it? Amazon?
Actually,
They canceled
I
the
know
show.
about it. I didn't watch it.
They canceled the show not because it was doing well. They canceled it because people freaked out. All right, so the show Utopia is about a tech billionaire who believes the world is overpopulated. So he makes fake meat, things like that, to try and produce carbon. It's not working. So he orchestrates a fake pandemic so they can rush through an untested vaccine for Congress. And it's not a joke. Hold on. It's not a joke. Mandate the vaccine to everybody. Secretly, the vaccine just sterilizes. And here's the best part. The characters in the show, there's a comic book called Utopia that was written by someone who apparently had knowledge of the plot. And when you look at the comic, there's hints as to what they're going to do next in this conspiracy. Isn't that a pretty cool story? I mean, for us, they just rushed through a vaccine and mandated it, and we had a piece of media that laid out exactly what people thought was happening. So, for that reason, they canceled the show. What if this pluribus thing is the same thing? The AI is going to grow. This is Neuralink. When you're all Neuralink, you might think, actually I'll put it like this. Bro, we're already in this right now. We're already in this right now. With Twitter, you log on. What you see is how you behave. We are in a miniature version of all that. Elon could go on X, like Elon and Zuckerberg could get together and be like, make sure people only see what is the healthiest meal you could possibly ever eat. And then everyone logs on and they keep seeing these videos. Influencers and say, I want to get 1 million views. I'm going to make a video about eating corn. And then all of a sudden, everybody's dressed like corn, driving around ethanol corn cars. If they decided that's what they want to program our minds to be.
Dude,
what happens when you plug our brains in?
Isn't the hive we're supposed to be coming together, and aren't we like
well, there's two competing.
Oh, two competing.
But what happens?
hives.
What happens when everybody gets Neuralink implanted, and then you plug your brain in, and now X is happening in a fraction of a second instead of you scrolling through. You're seeing everything else to you inside. You just make influenced and known outside of that. Everybody's maintaining their individual. Degenerate vegans. That's what I thought. Yeah. The hive is literally getting.
When the show came out on the heels of the news of 3i Atlas, people hearing Signal from the browsing, and then the show came out Signal, it was pretty weird, and then trying to decipher it.
So when's 3i Atlas supposed to come back? Like 2 weeks, right?
I need a fucking medic!
It died out. Maybe because I'm following.
Because it's behind the sun.
Well, it was. I think they said it might have changed direction or something, or the tail changed direction.
Last I heard was that it's next going to be visible coming around at the beginning of December.
All right.
So people claim there was a signal from this comet 3i Atlas, but the origin point when they trace back to is the same vector step that will allow signal. So people are like, a signal is in advance. And now the thing is is heading our way. Some people are putting out this nonsense saying that once it went around the sun, it got blasted by the But Ben Davidson was like, stop, no.
Which ones? My mind shares like how to keep a 7 and a 9-year-old knowing each other and how to grow into great community topics. Like, where is this stuff coming from?
There's a lot more comparisons.
You gotta do one, right? Like, think of anything else other than keeping your newborn alive? Like, I don't understand. Sorry for changing the topic, but like, where are people coming up with this stuff?
No, but I think that's a great point. The people that are coming up with this likely are not having kids, right? You don't have people for the future. You're not going to have kids. And like having children is a manifestation of belief that there is hope. Because you can have kids. And where the reproduction isn't happening. The replacement rate is incredibly low. We're over replacement rates. So I think that the lack of having families is emblematic of people looking at society and saying, oh, I'm just going to live for me, live for today, because whatever doomsday scenario they prefer, right? Whether it be seas are going to rise, warming, or planets on fire. You listen to kids that are parents, and they sound like Greta. You know,
Remember when they were saying we have 12 years to live?
Oh yeah, and this was
Little kids.
15 years ago.
Right.
Now she's like, Israel is climate change.
Yeah,
And we're
you
like,
gotta
what?
rebrand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think that there's some substance to that. People aren't having children, and it's probably feeding. Better for the environment. Don't have kids.
This story here, we're going to watch the New York Post. Michigan man charged after fatally shooting teen. Broke into his garage. Now on the surface, bomb hole, someone breaks into detached premises, and he shoots them. I said, well, hold on, that sounds like self-defense. The story's a little bit more than that. It's a Michigan man fatally shot a teen who broke into his garage. Savon Wilson, 17, was with 6 other mainly teenagers when the group broke into Dayton Napton's garage shortly after Ryan. Napton, 24, got an alert from his home security system, grabbed a 9mm, ran outside, fired 2 shots into the garage through a windowless door, striking Wilson. As the group fled, Napton fired 5 more shots before going back to his house, returning outside. According to statement, Savon was running away and got shot. So Sean Maddox was his father. The teenager in the group was also shot in the leg. He crossed the line by firing outside his home that in the first place. So Savon Wilson was died. But was he shot through the door while in the property illegally? That's the question. If they're saying he should be charged because after he shot the guy, he ran out and shot the guy, right? I'm like, wait, hold on. If these dudes are running away and he keeps shooting anyway, he's creating a risk to everybody in the world. You don't do that. You're charging for reckless discharge, negligent discharge from last. But if the dude died while in his home because he shot the door, I don't see that being the list.
I think that anytime you're shooting through a door, you don't know for sure what your enemies are.
And guess what? There are people who go into your house, they're currently in your house. They are illegally in your house. The issue I take with it is, if I'm in my house and someone breaks in and my bedroom door is closed and I can see them walking in the door, and like, let's say the circumstances, I literally know no one is in my house. Am I supposed my position is that's like if I'm at home and somebody let's say this building right now, we watch someone outside, like there's an armed intruder and they're armed. So we slam this door shut and we see one of the doors is banging. I have to be like, no guys. Okay. We clearly saw an enemy in the door. We have to wait for him to get a clear shot of us. Somebody, I don't care if you or anybody, if someone breaks onto your property, it is not the fault of the victim to assume that this person isn't or is trying to kill them. It is an imminent threat against your life if someone breaks into your house. I just can't stand this. You're the victim of someone breaking into your house. You have to give them the opportunity to kill you before you protect yourself. That seems crazy. That's why this story is crazy. Look, I will have no problem saying you should have ran out the door and shot him as they ran. That's nuts. But to charge him for shooting through the door and people can go to his house, and he's supposed to be like, I'm going to give them an opportunity to get line of sight before I can defend my life, my home.
It's like state mandated.
My point is, if you're in your house and you're watching TV, and the front door is kicked open by a raging lunatic who goes, I'm going to kill you. So you run to your bedroom, slam the door shut, grab your gun, and point at the door, and you see him running up on yar, yar. You're supposed to be like, better let him open the door and see that I'm here before I can find my home. That's crazy. I understand your point about the jury's going to say, I'm saying that is insane.
We have security cameras in the
I understand the risk of like if you're in your bedroom and you wake up in the middle of the night to footsteps, don't shoot the door. Like there are horrible stories of like a father shot his teenage daughter because she was trying to sneak into the house.
The story is.
Oh, is that what he claimed?
He woke up, fans was so loud, and he heard explosions in the bathroom. So he goes in there, takes the door shut to the toilet, and just starts shooting through it.
Yeah, but I don't believe that.
This is South Africa, so it's like probably a criminal there.
South Africa?
Another thing, if there's someone coming into your words or whatever, and that's the opportunity for you to you shouldn't be standing in front of the door. You get an angle.
Normal person.
I just if you own a gun, you should probably have an idea of how to engage someone else with a gun if you're gonna have a gun for it.
You just glide on.
I'm tired of these stories where a criminal caused a fight and the homeowner is the one who gets punished.
Absolutely, I'm 100% agree.
Again, this guy ran outside and started shooting again. It's like, bro. But there's that security guard we talked about that they're trying to put in prison because a criminal tried charging past him and he grabbed him. And the criminal was on top of him punching him in the face. He shot the security guard in front of him. It's Albuquerque. Look at the communist state. But I'd like to agree with that. Yeah. Like, I would be willing to help that guy with his legal defense in whatever capacity I could. So,
yeah.
This is the challenge, I suppose. What happens to this country when we have expanding narco-tyranny? This is in Michigan, and I wonder if the only reason that I can but at the same time, there's also this. At a certain point, people do something. And when you got, what was it? What did they say, 16s or whatever? 7 dudes break into his house. This guy probably just snapped up. Like, people are getting fed up with being told it's the criminals who brought the victims.
There was a case in Tennessee. Dude breaking into another dude's car, and the dude chased him down the street, and the dude fell, and he walked up and he popped him, and the jury said not guilty because they were tired of all the people behaving that way. It was a very famous case. The guy, in most circumstances, people would say that was an execution. Crime was so heinous, they were just like,
understand that, I've seen videos where two guys are fighting, and then one guy will immediately disengage, and the other guy will fight face, and will post his gun and shooting him, and the comments are like, he wasn't even fighting anymore, his weapon's over. These people understand that someone is trying to kill you, you don't know if there's a knife or a gun. And so if there is a reasonable fear of death, I think it's what is it called? Imperfect self-defense. It's a reasonable thing. Maybe being threatened or I actually think I would. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but they, like in the show, you get ready to move on. You'll fly a helicopter in, they'll bring you a jet to fly anywhere in the world, all that stuff. It's like, they also massacred most people. Maybe that's what that would be in their actual training. I honestly don't even think they're offering. I think Mondani's just basically saying, hey, I'm going to steal their money and give it to you, and the system will burn down, but at least you'll get something before it goes.
And they're always, well, the billionaires have done this, the billionaires have done that. The billionaires have done nothing. Who's the devil?
Rating this right.
Yeah, this is the worrying thing going into 2026 is leftist apparatus. But we still have judges like Diaz who have been just because USAID and these slush centers were shut down doesn't mean that we've actually stopped the problem of these people who already got elected or are already rich for life or however long they're going to be, and they've been funded by even outside of USAID and other things. You've got Open Society, they're all still there. So what do we like in order to get past this anarcho-tyranny stuff that we're seeing? Is it just a matter of time before? Are they going to hold these positions forever? Like, what does this mean for us?
It's going to be an ongoing struggle, just like the
fault is
liberty, like Ben Franklin said.
I need a fucking medic.
It's a constant, ongoing thing. As much as people will criticize Ronald Reagan was right when he said liberty is never generation away from God.
We're going to go to your chats and Rumble Rants, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone. Coming up at 10 p.m. where you is our Discord member. Call in. Before we do, we got some great sponsors for you, my friends. We got PDSDebt.com/Tim. Debt and credit cards is an accident. The system built to keep Americans down. Profit creditors win, families lose. Every call, every fee, every high interest trap is just a reminder the game is rigged. There's another side of the story. GSN has already helped hundreds of thousands fight back, fighting debt, ending the calls, and putting money back where it belongs, in Americans' pockets, not banks. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, GSN has custom options to help you get out of debt. They've got numbers to understand your unique situation. No minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and put your money back where it belongs in your pocket. PDS is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, most thousands of reviews on Google, most 5-star rated on Trustpilot, because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people. It's your money, it's your future. Don't let the system decide for you.
I need a fucking medic.
Free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pds.com/Tim. That's pds.com/Tim. Check it out. But wait, we got one more, my friends. It is Kickoff. Check this out. Plus, kickoff.com. It's way too easy to spend this time of year. Travel, groceries, gifts, it adds up fast. That's why you should check out Kickoff. Number one credit building app. Credit without taking on no debt. Kickoff makes it simple. Sign up in just minutes, no credit check, and get started for just $1. After a few months of on-time payments, you can see your credit score jump. Plans start only $5 a month, no fees, no interest. Need to build credit with your credit payments. Honestly, it's a super easy way to boost your credit score. Start building credit with Kickoff today and get your first month for as little as $1, 80% off normal price. When you go to KIKOFF.com/Timcast today. That's KIKOFF. No C. Kickoff.com/Timcast. You must sign up via kickoff.com/Timcast to access the offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers first. Only subject to offer exchange average first year credit score impact of +84 points between January 23 and 24. Just account users starting to score below 600. Paid on time. And then no delinquencies or collections. Their credit profile during the period. Credit score individual results may vary. Shout out. Thanks for sponsoring the show.
I'm bleeding out.
All right, here we go. Your Rumble Rant. Chance Wilder says, got to drive the Timcast car and truck this weekend in the new NASCAR game. They look sick with all of the never-ending craziness. It's good to relax in this game for a couple of hours. Shout-outs to Cody Benson, NASCAR driver in the ARCA Menard series, driving the Timcast car. If you guys buy the game, what's that? It's downstairs. You want to? Well, I'll just keep talking then. Trevor's gonna run down and grab the car. We have one behind me.
If you have a problem with Candace Owens having hundreds of thousands of people watching her live and millions of people tuning in, and you got a problem with that, maybe ask yourself, why do so many people tune into something like that? It's because they have no trust in the FBI and in the government. That's why. So, anyway, we're gonna get into all of that. Because yeah, today's been kind of wild. So the New York Post drops this story right here. FBI Secret Service butchered the Thomas Crooks case and invited conspiracy theories. We deserve the truth. There you have it right there. That headline it says it perfectly. The FBI invited this in by their handling of all of it. And it was insane to look at everything going on. I mean, post-millennial, Thomas Matthew Crooks went by they, them on DeviantArt. Linked accounts reveals furry fetish. That's right. Furry fetish. An online social media account that has been linked to would-be Trump assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks shows the shooter appeared to have a furry fetish and also described him as having they, them pronouns, according to a report from the New York Post. Benny Johnson tweeted this out. The FBI wants the trust of the American people. They must release everything on Thomas Crooks. Everything. But not just Thomas Crooks. They have, the American people voted for transparency. We deserve transparency. And we are seeing a common theme with a lot of these deranged leftist shooters. It's interesting. Mentally ill people turn out to be mentally ill. Amazing coincidence there, is it not? Let's see, I've got this one here. There's so much stuff that I've had to bookmark today. Right here. Trump shooter, non-binary. Minnesota shooter, trans. Nashville shooter, trans. Colorado, non-binary. Aberdeen, trans. Denver, trans. Iowa, trans. Charlie Kirk did it on behalf of trans boyfriend. I mean, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to figure this out.
We have commentary after our show on Friday from Patel. And I have a take on this. Odd or not, I don't care.
We are attacking objective Delta.
But you think it's true. And this is my take on it. Let's pop up what Cash has to say.
A lot of you were criticizing Benny. Benny's been calling some stuff out lately. And you know he's got Benny's been calling a lot of shit out.
So after learning all of the new available evidence on Thomas Crooks that will be released by independent sources and independent journalists, sleuths, whistleblowers, and fact-finders, Patel came out and said over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigation. They conducted over 1,000 interviews, addressed 2,000 tips, analyzed data, extracted from 13 seized digital devices, reviewed 500,000 digital files, collected, processed, synchronized hundreds of hours of video, analyzed financial activity, and different accounting and exam data associated with 25 different sources. So what's the swap data? What did you find? The investigation.
Well, again, here's the thing is, we didn't really hear things like, I think Cash Patel made a post the day after Tucker Carlson. Pretty interesting timing there, don't you think? The day after Tucker Carlson's massive video on this drop, suddenly then Cash Patel makes a post about it. Now the New York Times comes out with an article a few days later.
investigation reveals that crooks had limited online and in-person interactions, planned and conducted the attack alone, and did not leak or share his intent to engage in the attack with anyone. My problem with all of this,
I'm fucking
Cash
hit!
is a friend of the show, and he's been on our program before. My problem with all of this is that you are operating not from a position of power here.
I need a fucking
And it's
medic!
not Cash's fault. I'm just trying to be as fair as I possibly can. The FBI has lied to us so many times, including on this case. Capital didn't break the FBI. It was well and far broken when he got the helm and he got to the reins. But it is up to Capital to run a functional FBI, and in order to do that, you have to have the trust of the American people. If you don't have the trust of the people, well, then all society atomizes.
And when when Capital's girlfriend is suing the commentator on Twitter over, from what I understand, I don't follow it that closely. Don't give him a fucking Elijah Schaefer posted a picture of Capital and his girlfriend in response to someone else bringing up the fact that she might be a Mossad agent or something to that effect. That's pretty much all he did, from what I understand. And now he's got a $5 million lawsuit against him. This guy, like, I'm sorry, man. If you can't control your chick, then you probably can't control the FBI. Simple as that. Call me crazy.
Institutions that govern us must have modicum of trust. And so it is the imperative for Cash to get that trust back. And the only way to do that...
What's up with the lag all of a sudden? Is it just me?
That is for the FBI to tell us that Thomas... Crooks was a transgender furry cultist. Sicko. This should come from the FBI. All of the turn that Thomas Crooks made into a radical leftist, and some of the mysterious engagements he's had online with strange accounts, maybe feds, maybe not. Who knows? Clearly this kid was groomed by someone.
Look at that. Such a nice comment. Jeremy is not the best, but he's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's probably the nicest thing anyone has said in my chat all day long. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. It's very nice of you. It means a lot. It means a lot.
On Friday, Tim Burchett was on saying that it was the MK Ultra program. Just right off the top of the dome. Nope, it was MK Ultra. Okay. Something happened with Thomas Crooks. The they-them pronouns and degenerate pornography habits of terminally online and warped people is very important to this story. And so you have to be out with it. You have to tell the American people first
what's crazy right now? More people trust Candace Owens than trust Cash Patel. That's, I mean, that is true, and it's crazy, but it's true.
Don't let it be spoken out from under you, because then it looks like there's more things being Goodness gracious, look at this amount of evidence they have. 500,000 digital files? Release them! Oh, this boring. It's just his Google searches. Who cares? Show us that.
True, and this is where, like, Cash Patel understands the internet. He's been part of the internet. He's been on the internet for a long time. Do you know how much the autistic people of the internet will love those 500,000 digital files? That would be like Christmas Day for them. For you to drop those 500,000 digital files. They would go crazy over that. They would eat that up. It would make their year for you to drop that so they could go through it and find everything. Again, understanding the internet is a key to all of this.
There is nothing that's being hidden. There's no look. There's no doctor.
I got it. The scene can drop me. I've got it.
Okay. Well, don't let it be spoken out from under you. How much evidence they have?
Didn't fix it. Didn't fix it.
500,000 digital files? Release them! Oh, this boring. It's just his Google.
I'm gonna keep playing the Vinny video specifically because of like 2 people that have been crying about Vinny in the chat, so we're just gonna finish the whole fucking video now. Because of you individuals in particular, because of your complaining, we will continue to listen to Vinny video just dedicated to you specifically.
Google searches. Who cares? Show us that. There is nothing that's being hidden. There's no greater plot. There's no darker conspiracy. And most importantly, that the FBI trusts the American people to make accurate decisions ourselves, given the available evidence. What is the FBI? The Justice Department. Okay, fine. The FBI did their job. What is the Justice Department going to do? Thomas Crooks is dead. Maybe charge his parents. I don't know. So, being a parent myself seems beyond my wildest imagination that your child could be going through this kind of transformation, literal transformation, and you not know about it. Thomas,
what do we even know about the parents at this point? And I would say yes, like I don't know how old is Thomas Crooks. How old is Thomas Crooks? Was what, 21? 2021? Listen, man, as a parent myself, you are either a decent parent and you know what's going on in your kid's life, or you are a shitty parent and you have neglected them. And if that's the case, you're still responsible, in my opinion. Now, I know he's 20, so he was, past the age of 18 and all of that, but a parent would know what's going on with their kid. A decent parent would. Just truth of the matter. A decent parent would know if your child is going through different things like that and was even remotely close to being that deranged. You just would. So I think that the parents should absolutely be questioned and investigated and everything like that. But the fact that they're illegal.
Chris recording explosive material in his room. He lives in a very small little house. As a wing of the manor. No,
I
he
need
was
a
living like a
fucking
little,
medic.
teeny little home, living with his parents. No silverware? What the hell was that about? Almost scrubbed clean.
Somebody said anime leads to it. I reject that idea completely. Nothing leads to it except for bad parenting. That's what leads to it. Like, you can and again, when you say like one thing leads to it or another, it's bad parenting. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, that is the universal answer that leads to it. Bad parenting. Simple as that.
It was a crime scene. According to multiple federal investigators, very strange. They found enormous amount of firearms in his room. Google searches that he was making were constantly about explosives and some really dark stuff. And you're telling me that no one knew anything?
That doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, then you gotta release it. Do the same thing with the Epstein files. You just gotta release it. But what about the victim? You know, at some point, you either redact, or you have to just say it is in the greater good of the American public. So we'll do this in the safest way possible for people to not re-victimize.
And what's good about Benny talking about this is like I said, I mean, right now on YouTube, you know, Benny might be the biggest conservative commentator on YouTube right now. I think Victor Hero still has more subscribers, but like Benny has more pull. Benny gets more views. Benny has more access. Benny's just he's just the biggest on YouTube. And so for him to be talking about this, it means it's going to hit a different level. And he knows Cash Patel. He knows Cash Patel very well. And so for him to talk about that, it's
Recognize him. You just gotta be out with it. Because it'll all be used as political weapons. The more you lie to people, the more radical they get. The more radical they get, the more prone they are to doing this. And shooting my friends on a live stream.
More objectives.
And the similarities are stunning. We did a video in the days after Charlie's murder. There were some shocking similarities between Thomas Crooks and Tyler Thomas. And little did I know that it would go all the way down the route into the degenerate porn habits and transgender the very dark and terrifying patterns that we're seeing right now play out with that community. Ladies and gentlemen, Cash has to release.
But it's not just everything about this. There's not one decision that Cash Patel can make that rights the ship right now. There's not one. There's got to be multiple things that have to be done, and I don't think that that's realistic to ask for. One decision from Cash on this Thomas Crooks thing, it does nothing, man. It just doesn't fix the widespread issue right now that's going on.
Everything. Final thing I'll say on this, because of course we ranted about it for 2 straight hours on Friday without any breaks, is that, man, I went to Butler, I stood where Thomas Crooks got killed, I saw with my own eyes a cleanup operation like I've never seen before in my life. The FBI doesn't go hose off roofs. That's very strange. Why was no one there? Why was I all alone? Why was I even able to get on the murder site? What the hell is this?
I remember asking those questions myself when I saw that. When I saw Benny there, I'm like, how the hell is he even there? What the hell is going on? I remember that. That's actually interesting that he's saying that to himself because it's true. How is it even possible?
Life. The FBI doesn't go hose off roofs. That's very strange. Why was no one there? Why was I all alone? Why was I even able to get onto the murder site? What the hell is this? I couldn't believe it. I lived in a very dangerous neighborhood in Washington, D.C. I've talked regularly and publicly about witnessing murders, and I did. I saw murders. I lived in the ghetto. I saw gangland murders. My wife was a nurse, hospital treated. It was like the murder central, that wing of the hospital, man. Just gangland shootings all the time. DC's a bloody place. And I would see the crimes unit out for days, protecting evidence, depending on what it was. Protecting evidence, getting the bullet fragments, getting the DNA, getting a little thumbprint off one of the bullet casings. That happened once. Took them forever. They were able to get a match. This is the next day? Thomas Crooks hadn't been killed for 24 hours, and here's the FBI personally hosing everything off, sanitizing it all?
That's crazy.
I was there less than a week, and there was no active crime scene. Everything had been struck. Everything was gone. Everything had been ripped to the ground. What the hell was going on with that?
Now, to be fair, that wasn't Kash Patel's FBI. That was under the Biden DOJ. Just for clarification on that, it doesn't change the fact that we're just having a continuation of why people have lost all that trust. But, you know, it is what it is. Vlad with 10 says this channel is 75% grifting and 25% actual value. In all fairness, that's actually pretty good and probably kind of smart. Will it fail? We don't know. Stay tuned. The only issue I have here is, where do you find 25% actual value? That's where I'm kind of like, 25% value? It's a little charitable. But I do appreciate it. You being nice. Probably like, hey, don't tell the retard he's a retard. So the 25%'s that's a tad high. That's a tad high. That's like maybe 3% value. 3 to 5 maybe. Patriotic Gestalt says, give a shout out to Miranda Devine, is how you say her name. She's awesome. Her interviews are great. Hail the 199. That's the one that did the interview with, or did the coverage on the New York Post. But not Jeremy. No, they vote on that. Right? BC Man says BDS, Benny Derangement Syndrome. There's a few of them. Beardo's Fupa for a gifted membership. Infinity Player says 500,000 digital files. How many of those are pics of Lola Bunny and Judy Hopps? Davidson says, what's the next grift after Epstein? I have no idea what they're going to pull next. I don't know what their angle is beyond Epstein. There's no telling. Ball 95 says, finish best colors for Cobra Cast surprise. That's right, surprise Cobra Cast. Mr. Bishop says Jeremy is gay, but not as gay as Beardo, I think. Well, before we move on to our next topic, make sure you go over to geeksandgamers.com, or you can get the link in the pinned post. In a few days, like 7 days, I think. November 25th, 199 hoodie, which I will be rocking a lot. The Unit 199 Cultural Task Force t-shirt I got half. If we sell 400 of the Unit 199 Cultural Task Force t-shirt, I have to anoint Die Hard as a Christmas movie. It's not. I've been saying it for years. But if we sell 400, I will call it a Christmas movie. I don't think we're gonna sell 400, so it's completely okay. But go check those out. If you are interested in that, so we'll see. So here comes the debate now in the chat. So if everybody says it is, simple as that. All I'm saying is put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is all I'm saying. Truly believe it within your heart. You gotta go buy the t-shirt and prove it. That's such a pathetic gift on my part. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. Okay, so one of the most disgusting human beings on the planet, Patton Oswalt. I haven't watched this interaction yet, but Bill Maher gets blindsided, or Bill Maher gets blindsided by Maher as he shuts down his gushing over AOC. Let's check this out.
Remember when they found a damning video of AOC dancing and drinking with her friends on the roof at college? Or like, and this is a Congress person, and she looks so happy, beautiful, and cool, and you're like, oh, they think this is ending for good. They never did this.
Yeah, but
they were never that comfortable to do this.
yeah, and if she had some deprogramming, she could be such a fantastic candidate.
What do you mean deprogramming?
Well, she just doesn't. She's never going to resonate with people outside of the bubble that she's in the very, very far left.
Well,
the New York Times, of all people, the people I've been like squabbling with for the last 7, 8, 10 years, whatever, when I was all about Democrats have gone too far, they just put out a huge editorial basically saying exactly what I've been saying.
What, that she's too far left?
Yes, and that the only way the Democrats will ever win again, not that the Republicans are probably going to give it back, is to be more moderate. But we don't have to argue about her. I mean, she has.
If people think she's too far left, then that shows another way this country's broken right now.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily broken in that way, but it just shows how the country is not there.
He was so shocked. He thought Mar was just going to just agree with him. He was so shocked.
Outside of the bubble that she lives in the very, very far left.
Well,
how to respond. He was like, well, he had no idea. Now, we have this other story right here. I think this is the story. I can find it. Yeah, so I've heard from a lot of the lefties out there, people like Pat, about how inhumane President Trump is, and how terrible he is to all of these, immigrants. So this story is interesting. I wonder why a lot of the lefties aren't talking about it.
Fox News alert, ICE announced a brand new operation to conduct welfare checks on the 450,000 children that the Biden administration placed with top-level sponsors, some of whom were sex traffickers and abusers. The Trump administration has already located more than 24,400 children, and some of these stories are absolutely heartbreaking, like this one. A 1-year-old unaccompanied minor crossed the border during the Obama administration. That little girl is now 12 years old.
So, hang on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Back that up. How old?
Absolutely heartbreaking, like this one. A 1-year-old unaccompanied minor crossed the border during the Obama administration. That little girl.
I gotta hear this one more time. This isn't making sense.
During the Obama administration. That little girl, the Obama accompanied minor, this one. A 1-year-old unaccompanied minor.
How does a 1-year-old unaccompanied? How does a 1-year-old unaccompanied? This sounds like a Kamala Harris story. I don't understand.
Crossed the border during the Obama administration. That little girl is now 12 years old. During her 11 years in America, she lived with a series of relatives and endured horrifying abuse. According to Fox's...
It just means her parents weren't with her, other adults were. Okay. She crawled... Don't want to make that situation. It was very confusing the way that was said. But it does make sense. So not with her parents, but with other adults.
During her 11 years in America, she lived with a series of relatives and endured horrifying abuse. According to Fox's Brooke Taylor, she was found in the custody of her sisters who have now been arrested. The 12-year-old was found, quote, with injuries all over her body, extreme malnutrition, and an infected gash on her head, and zip ties around her wrist. Among those who abused this innocent child were her one-time sponsor, a distant uncle that she was placed with in 2024, despite being an illegal immigrant with a criminal conviction. That sponsor, that alleged abuser, was given temporary protected...
Somebody says, Jesus, Jeremy, come on. First of all, whoever told you that this was an intelligent show? Whoever told you I was intelligent? That's what we have to establish first, okay? I am not an intelligent comment.